Hey everybody, I had a question from one of my fellow Bushcraft USA members about how I stitch my capotes and how I do like a locking stitch plus a cross stitch and just how I finish things, because I like to build them pretty much to last. I don't want them falling apart. So again, I didn't realize how bad the video was before, but this is the capote that I make. It's a Nor'Wester, and you can find these at DixieGunWorks.com. They used to be about $8.95 plus shipping, but I don't know how much they are now. But I made plenty of capotes from that pattern. Some with hood, some without. It's a really good pattern. All right, so on to the stitch. So, sorry, I hit the camera. So my version of the cross stitch is it's kind of like a double whip stitch. I also, when I start, I do a few loops in order to have some extra tension, and then I'll go down through with a whip stitch, put a little extra tension. So this is just a scrap piece. I typically pin mine together, and then I wouldn't be using yellow, but I'll just get a piece that's plenty double length, put a knot in the end. And there's a trick you can do, not only with like yarn needles, but you can also do them with like stitching leather sheets. Once you get it through the eye, take your fibers and split them apart, because right now this will just slide right off. If I pull on it too hard, it'll slide right off. If you take and you split the fibers of cord or yarn and try to split it, this is a 4-strand. I do 2 on one side, 2 on the other side. And then I'll pull this down over the body of that, like so, and I'll make this tiny little loop. Then you just pull out the extra through the loop. Once you get it kind of centered, you can kind of touch on both sides. So now it's a lot firmer. You really got to try to get that apart. And then when it's time to come apart, you just grab this little loop. You see I've just opened it up, tightened. It looks like this. It'll pass through extremely easy, no real issues. But in order to open it back up, you just open up this loop, this eyelet, I hope you can see, and then just pass your strand back through, and then your needle will slide right off. So real quick, how I do it, I'm gonna go ahead and start on this side. This is just a scrap piece. I typically pin it, like I said, and I'll go through. So this is how I cross stitch. So then I'll go back this way. Typically, like I said, I go through that a few times. I'm not doing it because I'm trying to make this video kind of short. I believe he's mid-project, so just try to help him out. So go back through, and as it starts to lay down, you'll see that they're not straight. They have an angle to them. So we'll do a few more stitches. And I'm using yellow just so it's a little bit easier to see. Like so. We'll just do maybe 2 or 3 more and then work our way back. And again, like so, normally I would put a couple just over a few times, just to make sure that, especially if this is on a seam edge and it's going on another seam edge, I want as much strength as I can, because that's where that's going to rip out. It's going to rip out your armpits. It's going to rip out where your arms on the top shoulders connect. And like I say, go back through here, like so. Now for something like this, I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate how I do it. I go back pretty much that same hole. And you can do that a few times. Now this would be like, if this was a sleeve, this would be down by your wrist. And that's also a very, where that split is on the inside of the wrist, also gets a lot of damage. It can tear apart real easy. So I'll just go through this thing a few times. If you really were really scared of it, you could go through it one time, like so, and then make a little small, go underneath here, demonstrate it real quick, make a small overhand knot, and then that would just kind of cinch everything down. It's kind of like however much work you want to put into it. Yeah, like tighten it down like that. And then I'm still using the same strand. Now what you're going to try to do in order to do an actual cross stitch, I have an empty space between those 2 stitches. I want to try to put it just beside the previous stitch, like so. I hope you can see. And then again, I'm going to go in that spot between the 2, like so, like that, and pull it down. What you end up with, it looks like a cross. We'll do the same thing over here again, real quick. And I try to go right beside them, try to keep it just a little bit of material between. I don't really want to go through the same hole. Some people, some demonstrations you see go through the same hole. I don't like that. I'm trying to use, like I said, I'm trying to use that space in between, like so. Got a little bit excited there. But as you go through, just kind of tug them down, straighten them out. Here's another one. I hope you can see. So I'm going right between those 2. So those are my first 2. I've already come back. I'm going to pull it right through here, and it's going to end up laying down right. I got to coax it a little bit to make it look pretty. Like so. Then you have, I didn't tighten this one down, but then you end up with this nice cross stitch. And if you look at it, there's still quite a bit of material between each stitch. So what you're trying to do is use as much stitches with as much material between them, because you don't want to run them too close, because then you've only got a very small fiber in between. You're trying to get as much as you can out of what you have. So you can see it kind of cross stitch right there. So I've still got a little bit of space, so they're not in the same hole, but that they're very close. And it gives you just a little bit more material. Then I was going to go ahead and end this right through here. Like say, so I came through that hole. So I would go right about there on that side of that one and close the entire thing up, and look like so. And then, like I say, if I was going to finish it, I would go through it a few times, like so. Hopefully you can see this. I'm trying to go through here. So we already completed the cross stitch. This is just a finishing stitch. And like you say, you could put it on either side. Pull that down. I'm trying not to make it too ugly, like so. And then if you wanted to finish it, you could also pop it through. Hopefully you can see. You can push it through this side, like so. If you want a little bit of space material, pull your material down through, and then finish it on either on this side. Doesn't matter. Just do a basic overhand knot, couple overhand knots, and like so. And then we, like so, get them all nice straightened out. And sometimes they'll get a little bit stiff, so just kind of straighten them out. They'll kind of take on their own kind of shape, but that's pretty much what it looks like. Now that's not the locking stitch. I'm going to do another just quick video. I'm going to go ahead and shut this one off and make it like a part 2 for the locking stitch. I put a locking stitch beneath these, which I'll show you in the next video. All right, thanks.